Nigel Farage has hit back at Labour MP Zara Sultana, condemning her comments about Reform UK as disgraceful and warning that her rhetoric is dangerously close to incitement. The Clacton MP was responding to Sultana's recent remarks, in which she directly compared Reform UK to far-right groups and called for protests at the party's upcoming rally in March. In today's video, we will watch Farage's full reaction. But first, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Sultana, the MP for Coventry South, made the inflammatory comparison in a statement, saying, "In my view, based on the comments they have made publicly about Muslims and migrants, Reform UK is comparable to the National Front and the BNP." She went on to accuse the party of using relentless scapegoating of Muslims and migrants as a cynical ploy to deflect from the real culprits. Farage, speaking on GB News, dismissed her claims, calling out the dangerous nature of her rhetoric. "I think it's disgraceful, and frankly, what she said about me and about our people is very close to incitement," he said. However, Sultana remained defiant, insisting that she was speaking from personal experience as a born and bred Brummie whose parents suffered the violent consequences of far-right politics. "I speak for many in this proud multicultural city," she said. She also took aim at Reform UK's leadership, criticizing their embrace of Thatcherism and claiming that their MPs vote against workers while bending over backward for the elites who fund them. Here's Farage's response.
If you'd, on a separate note, if you'd given any thought to the Coventry South MP Zara Sultana and the campaign she seems to be launching against you personally and the Reform Party. She's been publicising an event in Birmingham, it seems, with a picture of yourself cartoonised, with a big, no entry sign, not allowed sign, and also a letter comparing Reform to the BNP and the National Front. What do you reckon to that?
I think it's disgraceful, and frankly, I think it's almost insightful. It's very, what she said about me and about our people is very close to incitement. And clearly what she's trying to do is she's trying to get, a crowd of protesters, many of whom may not behave themselves, to turn up on the 28th of March, when we're going to be holding the biggest political rally seen in the United Kingdom for many, many decades. If you believe in free speech, even if you disagree with what Farage says and what Reform stands for, an attempt to stop the event from going ahead, I think is an absolute democratic disgrace. This is not the way that any elected member of Parliament should behave, and I would like to see Keir Starmer getting tough with backbenchers who behave in this appalling way. Everyone knows that Reform is non-sectarian, non-racist. We're open absolutely to everybody. It's just that we're patriotic. We believe in controlling our borders and putting the interests of the British people first. That's what we stand for. You can come and argue against me. You can tell me that I'm wrong. You can tell me we should have open borders. Fine, that's democratic debate. But to try and get people to come along and close down our conference is disgraceful.
The tensions between Reform UK and its critics have been escalating, particularly following Sultana's social media post the previous day, which depicted Farage inside a no-entry sign in a provocative cartoon. The image sparked widespread backlash, with Reform UK supporters accusing her of attempting to silence political opposition. With the party's March 28th rally approaching, Sultana's calls for protests have only heightened the sense of confrontation. As Reform UK gears up for a major public event, the backlash from political opponents is intensifying, setting the stage for what could be a highly charged showdown in the coming weeks. In other news, a growing number of Labour cabinet members have found themselves under scrutiny in recent weeks as discrepancies in their career histories come to light. While figures like Rachel Reeves and Jonathan Reynolds have already faced intense examination, the latest focus has shifted to Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Her career timeline has sparked controversy due to conflicting statements about her past roles and the length of time she spent in certain positions. From her entry in Who's Who to personal statements and official records, the inconsistencies have raised serious questions about how Rayner has presented her career. Recent evidence has cast a spotlight on Labour cabinet members, revealing a pattern of discrepancies in how they have represented their careers prior to entering politics. The attention, which initially focused on figures like Rachel Reeves and Jonathan Reynolds, is now moving toward Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Her career timeline has been subject to scrutiny due to various public statements and official records. Rayner's entry in Who's Who has been particularly controversial. The entry notes her career background with phrases like home help, private sector and local government 1998-2005, and trade union lay activist 2002-15, suggesting a 7-year span of involvement in specific roles. However, The Times has pointed out that Who's Who entries are often self-reported, meaning individuals write their own entries and control how their career timelines are presented. In this case, Rayner's own words have sparked further questions about the accuracy and consistency of her public claims. Additionally, Rayner's candidacy website from 2014 described her as a trade union official with Unison, offering further context to her career. In her own words, she stated, "My first job was as a carer, looking after elderly people in their homes. I stayed in that profession for almost a decade and experienced the conditions that often make headlines today. That's why I joined a trade union." This statement implies a long tenure in home care, but Rayner's public statements have varied in the length of time she spent in these roles. One particularly curious incident occurred in a Facebook post from 2020, where Rayner commemorated her election victory, stating, "Exactly 5 years ago tonight, after 14 years of service in local government as a home care worker, I left Stockport Council." In this post, Rayner upgraded her time spent working as a home help from 7 years to 14. This shift in the timeline is puzzling given her previous statements and the conflicting reports from various sources. Further confusion arises from statements Rayner made regarding her tenure as a home care worker in March of the previous year, amid the controversy surrounding the 2015 sale of her council house. Rayner claimed at the time of the sale, "I was a home carer and it was my home." This comment would place her time as a home help at 17 years, drastically increasing her previous estimates of 7 or 14 years. The discrepancies in Rayner's public statements raise the question of whether Labour might be redefining the term decade to suit its narrative. According to Lord Ashcroft's biography of Rayner, the timeline doesn't quite add up. Rayner's own records indicate that she worked as a home help for only 6 months in 1998. After an 18-month gap without working as a carer, she joined Stockport Council as a home help, where she remained employed from August 2000 to 2005. Official council records released under a Freedom of Information request confirm this 5-year period. Even more revealing is Ashcroft's book, which concludes that Rayner spent approximately 3 years as a carer. This is because, for up to 2 years between 2000 and 2005, she was reportedly on facility time, a special arrangement where union representatives are allowed paid leave to focus on union duties. This period, confirmed through discussions with a friend of Rayner's, casts doubt on her claims of a decade-long career in home care. Ultimately, the varying time frames, ranging from 7 to 17 years, highlight not only inconsistencies in Rayner's narrative, but also raise broader questions about the accuracy of claims made by senior political figures. While Rayner's political career has been undeniably impressive, the disparity between her public statements and the official records suggests that Labour's portrayal of her background may not be as straightforward as it appears. As scrutiny continues to mount, the contrast between the carefully crafted stories presented by these political figures and the reality of their actual career timelines becomes increasingly apparent. Rayner's case exemplifies how small discrepancies, when compounded over time, can undermine credibility and fuel public skepticism. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below, and make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content.